Hi, welcome to Boardman Outlook. I'm Larry Moliterno of the Boardman Township Trustees, here with Brad Calhoun and Tom Costello, my fellow trustees, and also introducing a new face to Boardman Township. Sarah Gartland is our new zoning inspector. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
You've only been with us a few weeks so far.
2.5.
Why don't you? But you're not new to this field.
No, I spent 12 years working with Mahoning County Planning, and one of the things I did at planning was liaison with the townships on their zoning issues. So we have 12 zone townships in Mahoning County, so I worked with all of them, which makes the difficult part of forgetting the other 11 and remembering just Boardman.
Yeah, just remember Boardman. Don't worry about the rest
I'm
of them for
working
now.
on forgetting the others.
And I think that we have, you're coming into the township at a time when we have a pretty aggressive agenda here moving forward, don't we?
Yes, it's a really big time of redevelopment. Many old plazas are trying to become modern, which allows us an opportunity to completely redesign our major thoroughfares and bring us a modern look. There's still many areas of Boardman that look like the 90s. But Boardman's moving forward, and new businesses, new brands, new companies, so this is a great time to become a modern urban thoroughfare down to 24 and beautiful residential neighborhoods.
Yeah, it seems to me that the township grew so fast that there wasn't a whole lot of time for the leadership at that point to actually do a lot of the planning. It just kind of happened, and I think now we're kind of going back and catching our breath and making some of these changes.
One of the things we learned is that trial and error in planning. When there was major development in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we did not understand water issues. We did not understand green space. We did not understand the consequences of seas of parking lots. And now we know. And it's perfect that Boardman's going through major redevelopment, because now we can make areas that match some of the beautiful areas in the Cleveland or Columbus area.
Well, and it seems like there's so many businesses wanting to either redevelop or just new businesses coming into Boardman at this time, Sarah.
Unlike some areas in older communities, Boardman, rather than losing population, is still growing and still improving. So rather than seeing a loss in interest, it's continuing. So we have the money, the interest, the business, the residents to completely redevelop our look.
Well, I mean, when you talk about us growing, I mean, some of the major areas in the area are shrinking. I saw in the paper just recently, I think it was this morning, Youngstown's population, they're looking at perhaps going down to about 50,000 people.
Yes, significant change in that community, and they have major projects of clearing out structures, removing them, reducing the number of locations they have to sell, maintain. We are in a different situation. We need as much tenant space as we can get. Our housing developments are doing very well, so we need to continually improve what we have and encourage growth as we would like to see it.
Let's talk about a couple of the projects that we want to be working on here throughout the rest of 2013. And I think we'll start with the project that we got through the Attorney General's office to do some demolitions, and the county commissioners.
Which is a major part of redeveloping as a modern look and a newer community, is to remove structures where there's no way to remodel them or rehab them to bring them into the community in a positive way. So the best thing to do is to clear them out, and then you have land and space for a developer who has some vision, or a property owner who might want a garden space or something like that, something that will enhance the community.
Now, have we clearly identified the sites that we're going to be looking at, or do we have opportunities for maybe some additional locations?
We from where we are at right now, we have some that are open and shut, ready to demolish. They have been condemned and they're ready to go. Other of those sites, we have some last minute interest in purchasing them and remodeling them. Those sites, we are open to how serious the remodeling is, because there are other places we could pick. There's other sites we could pick, and what speeds the process along is if someone of a blighted property will just agree to condemn and allow us to demolish it. So we could substitute them out for quick properties, and that way we have some remodeled that would have been knocked down, and some that would not have been on the list at all demolished.
So if there is a homeowner out there no longer lives in a particular lot where there's a structure on, if they would sign that off, that's the quickest,
Yes.
fastest way to get it. And if it meets our qualifications, we can just go ahead and demolish that then.
Absolutely. One of the most difficult parts of the Planning and Zoning Department is that we balance property rights with the rights of the community. So when we have a property that is blighted, for the rights of the community, we need to create a safer, better environment. But if it's someone's property, so we have a long process we go through to give them opportunities, to notify them, to help them. If they know that it's just not going to work out for them, they do not have the resources to remodel, it speeds the process along if they let us cut through those steps.
And we have approximately, if I'm correct, 100,000 from the grant, and then the board here committed 100,000. So that could potentially tear down up to somewhere in the neighborhood of 18, 20 homes.
Yes, we have 15 that we're looking at right now, and we are going to have several that are ready to go to use every dollar that we can.
And they cannot be used for commercial, just so keep
Right.
that.
Right.
Well, and this board early on made the commitment to protect the integrity of our neighborhoods. And through the demo program, getting down structures that just can't be rehabilitated, but also whenever items come in front of us with commercial that wants to grow, is to make sure if it abuts residential neighborhoods, we work very carefully to protect those neighborhoods.
We have site plan regulations in our ordinance that allow for protecting and buffering. We ask for fencing, green space, and many of the businesses are happy to comply because they want to be good stewards of the community. So when we have a new project come in, we review the site plan and make sure that they are making something that's positive to the community and positive to the residential neighbors too.
Well, speaking of demolitions too, I think we should probably mention, hopefully for the last time that we'll mention it
By
here.
the time this show airs, we're hoping Terrace Motel will be down, right?
Exactly, and I think that's a project that we've been working on for a long time, and I know, again, that was one of those things that we really listened to the neighbors behind there who continued to tell us their concerns, and we got creative by working with the county commissioners to help with supporting some funding there too, to be able to demo that building.
And really the fact of the matter is that we have limited resources. So the direction in which we should focus our enforcement and our efforts and our grant searches is directed by the amount of calls and interest from the public. So we encourage people to let us know the areas that concern them, and that way we have an excellent barometer of where our attention and our resources should go.
Well, let's talk about another issue that I know is important to us that we're working on this year, and that's some of the zoning issues.
Yeah, well, we talked about the little things, it's called R1, the R2.
Yes.
And trying to eliminate, I guess, the ability in the township for any developer to come in and develop multiplexes or apartment buildings.
Right. I know many of the township zoning ordinances have different districts for residential. Boardman's R2 district allows up to 6 plexes. Many R2 districts in other communities do not do that. It's an old section of the regulation, and it was from a time when the northern part of Boardman did have a lot of that kind of development. So the majority of the northern part of Boardman is zoned residential R2, which allows up to a 6-plex. And the community is pretty much in agreement that that is a bit excessive for the northern part of Boardman. It's an older community, but it's already developed out, and there really isn't a need to allow that kind of new development on already tight, small, developed neighborhoods.
Well, I think the board, you guys probably agree with me, that's one of our top 5 phone calls.
Yes.
Is we don't want in our neighborhood these 6-plexes, 4-plexes, apartment, anything
Yes.
like that. And we're hearing and we're respecting it. That's why we asked for you
Yes.
to make that a priority to really eliminate that. There'll be some pockets that those might be able to do.
And you're right. I mean, there's a place, if it's zoned properly,
Yes.
there's
Right.
a place that it's appropriate to put those types
Right.
of units,
We-
but in
yes.
some neighborhoods, it's just not.
We have multifamily neighborhoods, and those will be preserved. We have other neighborhoods that are just older residential neighborhoods where that's just how they did it. And the problem with that is multi-family units, large developments like that, tax roads that were not built to current standards, water systems that cannot handle that kind of storm water, access issues for emergency services. So there is some very real concerns about retrofitting older neighborhoods for multifamily where they were never intended.
Right.
From what I understand, the intent of the multifamily zoning at the time was to just allow smaller single-family lots, not to encourage multifamily development. So the two options are to change the wording in our ordinance, which is extremely difficult to do, and will create other problems for other people, or to just change the zoning to what is meant to be, single-family neighborhoods. And that's the direction we're going.
Well, I think that goes back to protecting the integrity of the neighborhoods. One of our concerns has been in some of the older neighborhoods where somebody has a single-family residence, they can't sell it, I'll turn it into a duplex because that R2 zoning allows them to do that.
Right, and if they come in and show us plans and we can verify that it is a duplex that meets building standards, we definitely entertain people using their property as they legally can. The problem we run into is the ones that just happen. And then they live there for a long time and they want to sell it as a duplex. It was never looked at that way, and they find that they can't sell it. So it's a service to our residents to help them to not make a change to their home that will make it unsellable in the future.
Sarah, somebody has a concern, somebody has an issue. What's the best way to reach out and talk to you in the zoning department?
We are always available at 330-726-4181. I welcome emails. Anyone can stop me if they see me anywhere. I am always around to talk to anyone. But we have a very quick response staff, so any way that someone reaches us, there's a complaint form on the internet, any way at all, we look into them immediately.
Sarah, a lot of people, a little nervous about making that phone call. Say, hey, my neighbor has, grass that's, a foot high, but don't give my name. This is anonymous, correct?
100%. We depend upon neighbors to let us know where we should focus our resources so we protect them.
And if you see grass growing, I really encourage you to see it when it starts to grow 4 or 5 and you're saying no one lives there, no one's going to cut. That's when you make the call, because
Yes.
if you wait until it's a foot high,
Yes.
we unfortunately have to go through a process.
Yes.
Sending someone out, photograph it,
Yes.
fill out the paperwork, bring it to the board, get approval, bid it out for someone to cut the grass. And
Correct.
so 12 foot turns into 18.
We add it to the list to start watching it as soon as it hits 6 inches. We can cut it as the township at 10 inches, so we think at about 6 inches it's probably never going to happen, and we start watching it. So anything that is approaching that amount, that height, please let us know, definitely. Yeah.
So call, email, stop in the township,
Yes.
fill out that form, and walk away. And we'll get to it as fast as we can, because you really don't want to live in a neighborhood where the yards are unkept.
That's right, and if anyone would like to know what's going on as far as when they're slated to be grass cut and whatnot, they can always call. We are happy to just update people on where we're at in the process.
What other things might they call about this?
We ask for calls about anything regarding property maintenance or usage. We have people call us and say, hey, I think they're running a car shop out of the garage next door. Call me. I think that there's animals getting into a broken window in this vacant house. Please call me. Anything like that. Just anything related to the state of the property, the use of the property. And I can even answer questions about how they can use their own property.
What about an old refrigerator in the backyard?
Old
Tires?
appliances, junk, even piles of shrubs, that debris, trees, anything like that. One complaint we get is when trees are dying and falling over into someone else's property. When a tree is still in the ground, we leave it alone. But the second a tree falls over or branches and limbs start falling out of it, let us know. We can proceed to contact the property owner and ask them to clean up the debris.
So there's a lot going on, and I think over the summer we're going to have those kinds of issues. People are going to start paying more attention to the grass and those kinds of things. So I think the bottom line is really encourage people that if you have any questions,
Please.
call in the zoning.
I like to
department.
talk to everybody. I like to get to know everybody. I'm new, so I want to meet everybody.
Good. Well, we are really happy to have you as part of our team
you.
now, and your background, and not only your background and what you bring, but also I think your vision of where we're going in the future is something that I think we're looking forward to in
Yes.
Boardman.
Thank you.
All right. So for Boardman Outlook, I'm Larry Malaterno, along with my fellow trustees, Brad Calhoun and Tom Costello, and we'll see you next time.